Welcome to AutoCAD 2D modeling. So in this model, you can say that, or you may feel like the model is quite simple enough that it consists of multiple straight lines and you would say horizontal or vertical lines and some tangent lines and only two small circles. But if you notice that there is no angle provided for any angular line. So what you would do in this model, we have a very user-friendly command named Chamfer. So basically in this video, you will learn how to use this Chamfer command to make these edges, right? So begin with the modeling as we have to check a few things before start modeling. That our workbench should be set on drafting and annotation. Next step is to define the units. Units should be in millimeter. Okay. Next is to decide the the center point of your model. So I would prefer to take my center point for the drawing, that is 0, 0 right here. And this left bottom corner will become 0 tab 0. Afterwards, rather than taking every single line or draw every single line, these small connections, it is very much easy for you to do a few things. Like what? First of all, if you notice that this whole model can be assumed as a rectangle, having the measurements provided as 10.4 on x-axis, or you could say the length, or 8 on y-axis. You can take it as width, whatever suits you, right? So begin with the rectangle, having the measurements 10.4 and 8. So for that, this time you need a rectangle. So here is the rectangle command. Just go for it. First of all, it is asking for your first corner point. So specify first corner point as 0 tab 0. Press enter. Next, you can say specify the other corner point, right? It is showing you a command to give um, other corner point in terms of the length and width. So the highlighted blue color is showing you the measurement in x-axis. That is 10.4. Just enter. Okay, sorry, you don't need to press enter. Again, 0 tab. 1 second. Okay, 0 tab 0, enter. Then it's 10.4 and then tab rather than enter because we have to define the y-axis, the height of the rectangle or width of the rectangle. So that will become 8 and then enter. So this is your actual rectangle. Now, first of all, drag your shape in the center. And you may zoom in. Okay, perfect. Next is to apply the Chamfer commands on the corners. How you can do it? It is very simple. You can go for it very quickly. First of all, just have a look at this corner. If you see, it is a kind of a rectangle, or you can say a right angle triangle, in which the width, you can say the length in x-axis and y-axis are both in 0.6, and the part which you will do as the chamfer is hypotenuse. So just go for the chamfer command. Here it is. It is saying bevels the edges of the object. So just take it. Now, first, if you see, you have options like undo, polyline, distance, angle, trim, method, multiple. This time we don't have angle provided in the model, so we will go for the distance. Once you choose the distance option, it is going to ask you specify first chamfer distance. This time we have same 0.6 for both x and y axis. So just type 0.6, enter. Now it is asking specify the second chamfer distance. So that is again 0.6 on y axis. So 0.6 and enter. Once you enter, I think the command is not exactly given. 0.6, enter, 0.6, enter. Okay, now it is asking you for this select first line. Whatever can be your first line, because in this case we have both measurements were same, so you can select any of the line first, and then the select second line. You can see how beautifully it is cutting your edge in your desired manner. So just enter. That's it. Next, you can see that this whole model is basically mirror around this part, around this line, this discontinuous line. So I would rather prefer to just make this left hand side of the model, and then I will mirror the object on the next side, because no single measurement is provided on the other side. However, because no single measurement is provided, it means that these measurements are exactly the mirror images of this part. So just go for this section. Okay, now you can see on x-axis, you have to cover distance of 1 in order to create the chamfer. However, on y-axis, you have certain measurements that would be subtracted from it in order to get this whole height from here till here. So you have to subtract 0.6, 2.6, and 1.4 from 8. 0.6, 2.6, and 1.4 from 8. This will give you 3.4. So I'm just writing here 3.4. So on x-axis 1, on y-axis it's 3.4. Just go for it. Take Chamfer command. It is showing you select first line, but before just pointing out your first line, you need to enter the details. So first camphor distance, I I prefer x-axis, so it is 1. And then second camphor distance I take or assume it as y-axis, so that is 3.4. Enter. Now remember your first line would be the distance you have provided in terms of the first distance. So that was 1 on x-axis. So this is my x-axis. So I will click on this line first, right? And the second line was your second distance, and second distance was 3.4, which was on y-axis. So now I will click this one first. Okay, just undo this part for your sake, and I'll do it again. Well, that what I am trying to make you understand. Just take the distance, type in 1 first, then 3.4, enter. Now, if you select this, I have entered 1 for the first distance and 3.4 for the second distance. If I click here as first line and second line here, your camphor or um, will be like this, will look like this. So that is why you have to be very careful in terms of your details. So it's 1 and then 3.4. So 1 on x-axis and 3.4 on y-axis like this. Next is this part and then this detail. Now if you can say this length on x-axis is exactly 1. However, this is given as 1.4. You cannot immediately create a Chamfer command right here in the middle section. So what we'll do first, you can have certain options like you can see this vertical distance on y-axis is 3.4. However, this distance on x-axis is given here 5.2. So accordingly, on x-axis it is 5.2. On y-axis it is 3.4. So this point will become 5.2, comma 3.4 like this. So at this point, if I draw two lines, a horizontal one and a vertical and a horizontal one. Let's see what will happen. Just go for it. Take a line. So first point, you can take on what were the coordinates? 5.2 and 3.4. 5.2 gap 3.4. Enter. Now you I need one horizontal and one vertical line. So if I first just draw one vertical line for which the distance doesn't matter, the length of the line doesn't matter. However, the angle matters. That should be 90-degree like this. Enter. Another horizontal line, same measurements 5.2 and 3.4. 5.2 gap 3.4. Okay. Again, the length of the line is not our concern right now. However, it is better to keep it at the length of 1 because it's 1. So I just keep it 1, whereas the angle should be 180 degrees because it is in your um, negative x-axis, right? So tab 180, enter, and then escape. Now you can see this particular, okay, this particular line is our reference line. So I'll just highlight it using the yellow color because I have to erase it later on. Next is this height, and this is 1.4. So this is 1.4 at 90 degree. So just specify this endpoint, enter 1.4, and the angle is 90 degree. So it will end over here and then escape. Now you have to connect this part actually. So you have one more thing you can do is rather than this, I guess, you can offset this line. Okay, use offset distance, that is 1. Select object to be offset in this side. However, this line is our continuous line, so use white color. Okay, perfect. Now, this part would make a chamfer. So the measurements on x-axis is, or horizontal axis is 0.6, whereas on vertical axis it's 0.6 plus 2.6. So that will give you 3.2. So on horizontal axis 0.6, on vertical axis 3.2. Now you may use Chamfer command. Just define the measurements 0.6 and 3.2. So first one is 0.6 and then 3.2. Enter. So 0.6 was my this line. Okay, one more thing you need to do is to trim off this part for proper. Okay, so 0.6 and 3.2. Distance 0.6, 3.2. This is the first line and this is the second line. Now, this is the region of 1.4. You can see here like this. Perfect. All right. Now come towards this circle part. This circle is having a center point, which is 2 on horizontal axis or x-axis, whereas 1 on y-axis. So it's simple. And the diameter provided for these two circles are same. That is 0.6 in terms of diameter. So 2, 1 and 0.6. Circle with diameter 2, tab 1, and the diameter is 0.6, like this. Perfect. Now you need uh, extended line from this point at 90 degrees. So just tap 90, and this is again your reference lines. So highlight it with yellow color. You can delete rest of the part like this. Now coming towards the mirror command, creates a mirrored copy of the selected objects. Okay, now it says select objects. We need to select all this left side part of the image. So I am dragging all around the objects until all of the lines turned into blue. Now press enter. Now it is asking specify first point of the mirror line. So any of the point can become your first line like this, first point. Now it will rotate the object around that point until you define the second point of the mirror line. So I'll take second point anywhere on this line like this. Just enter. Now it will ask you erase source object. No. And there you go. So this is how the mirror commands work. Now delete this reference line and there you go. Perfect. Last but not the least, you need to define the dimensions. Just clear this hole first. Next is to define the dimensions. The linear dimensions, most of them are linear dimensions here, except this one in terms of the diameter. So diameter for this circle, like this, you need to increase the text size. Just go to the dimension, manage dimension style, modify. Text size can be, you can take 1 point, for instance, not 1 point, like 0.8. Okay, let's see. This is very much dangerous, so go for annotation again. Better to keep it 0.5. Modify 0.5. Okay, enter, close. Yeah, this is reasonable, but I do prefer to reduce this a little more. So that I can arrange further dimensions easily. So 0.3 this time. Let's see. Yeah, you can go for at 0.3 or 0.4, whatever suits you. So this is the diameter. Now you need to mention the linear measurements like this. First point, second point, this is 4. First, okay, again linear. So first point, second point, this is 3. Again, this is 1.4, you see. This was 8.4, and the rest were um, we go for the aligned like this. This is showing you the hypotenuse basically. So if you can calculate the hypotenuse, you will come up with these answers. And so you can play around it easily and you will have the measurements. So I hope it helps you in a better way. So this video was basically consist of how to use Chamfer command, and that's it. See you in the next video. Thank you.